Good evening, class. This is Dr. Boris. I would like to go over the assignments for Module 6. It's not going to be a long presentation, but we're going to go step by step and look what is in for this week. If you look at the Module 6, Assignment 3, you're going to see what is specified in the assignment here. Module 6 Application Assignments. There are 3 questions, and they're somewhat related, and some of them are from the different options in the SPSS. So let's look at the assignments here first. Is the relationship among the variables measuring different aspects of customer satisfaction? Run a Pearson correlation matrix using the delivery reliability, product satisfaction, technical support, sales satisfaction, overall satisfaction in January, and overall satisfaction in June. As you can see, those are the variables that are listed in here. Create a scatter plot for the following pairs: delivery reliability, overall satisfaction in June, and product satisfaction, overall satisfaction in June. Report the descriptive stats, the assumption test, as well as the statistical significance, identify a positive and negative relationship. Let's look at this first assignment and where do we need to start working on it. If we look at the data set, again, I'm using business as an example, we can see that we need to start someplace, and we're going to click on Analyze, and you see there is correlation. We go to bivariate, and then we simply list the variables that we need to correlate between themselves. Delivery reliability, push it to variables. Product satisfaction here. Technical support satisfaction, sales satisfaction, then overall satisfaction in January, and overall satisfaction in June. All the variables correlation that we're trying to find make sense. They're common sense. So that's why we use them in the design of the study. We need to think which of the variables do we need to correlate to get some valuable results. So here we need to make sure that Pearson is checked off. And in the options, we need to see, okay, of options we don't need to change. And if we click OK, we're going to get some good results. Now, this is the correlation matrix. Correlation matrix using delivery reliability, and there's the variables here. It's diagonal matrix, which has the same variables in the column and in the headings. And so you can see that half of them are symmetrical. So this variable here, this value here, 0.193 repeats here because they have product satisfaction against the product delivery reliability, or delivery reliability against product satisfaction. So we can read half of it, and we know all the information that we need. And there is also a big help here from SPSS. If the correlation is statistically significant at the level 0.01, two-tailed, we have 2 stars as superscript here, and if it's on the level 0.05, we have 1 star. Like, for example, .317 has 1 star here, so it's statistically significant at the level 0.05. So you need to specify when you're commenting on the matrix, you say we found positive, not very strong positive correlation between product satisfaction and technical support satisfaction, and this is statistically significant at the level of 0.05. If you look at the product satisfaction versus delivery reliability, there's weak positive correlation, and it's not statistically significant, so we can ignore those. All we need to comment is pretty much the ones they have stars next to them, above them, they are showing us there is statistically significant value in here. And we go and we can see there are some strong ones. Overall satisfaction in June and delivery reliability have strong positive correlation, and it's on the level 0.05. The correlation is significant at the level of 0.01. And so is overall satisfaction in June, and product satisfaction, not very strong, but somewhat strong positive correlation, which is statistically significant. And this is over 0.05. We can say also it's not very strong, but that's the highest of one that we have here is 0.6228. And now we have the highest ones. That sales satisfaction and product satisfaction are strong. We can even say very strong because over 0.75. Just a reminder, coefficient of correlation can be from -1 to +1. That means it can be reversed linear correlation and positive correlation, and that's the only value that we can have. If it's below -1 and above 1, something is wrong with our calculation. Even SPSS can make mistakes. Rarely, but if we put some wrong data or include wrong variables, who knows what we can get. I want you to look at Chapter 10 in the workbook on SPSS for Windows correlation. Okay, and look at the correlation by SPSS for Windows step by step. Look at the chapter and correlation, and look at the output of that particular chapter. That's Chapter 10. Talks about, there's also step-by-step instructions how to start this Pearson correlation matrix. And if we go to look at the question 2, question 2 also is covered in Chapter 15 in SPSS for Windows step-by-step, and you want to look at the step-by-step procedure, how to get to this simple regression and output for the comments and analysis of your output data. There's a little trick here on getting a scatter plot in question 1. I forgot to tell you. You may want to go and you need to actually go and into the graphs once you're open the data, chart builder, and you need to go and click on scatter dot and move this to the working area. You drag this first one into the dragging area, and then you need to find what are the pairs that you want to get a scatter plot. You want a delivery reliability, so you drag delivery reliability to x-axis, and overall satisfaction in June. Overall satisfaction in June, you drag into y-axis, and you click OK, and then you get dot plot. Does it tell you much? Somewhat positive correlation, but you know, it's not very strong because data are scattered all over the place. You can't really create a straight line between them. A straight line can go almost anywhere you want, but this one lead and this one lead, that will give us some sort of a line like that. All right, so for the question 2, let's focus on what we need to do with question 2. Question 2, we need to do analyze, run simple regression using delivery. Okay, we go to regression, and we need to go to second one, which is called linear. It's also covered in Chapter 15, and we click linear. And here is everything we need to do. I'm going to remove those. I'm going to click reset. So what we need to do, run a simple regression using delivery reliability as the independent variable and overall satisfaction in June as a dependent variable. Delivery reliability is dependent variable, independent variable, I'm sorry, delivery liability is something we're going to push here, an independent variable. Dependent variable is overall satisfaction in June. Overall satisfaction in June is this one is dependent variable. Report the descriptive stats. We need to check here. We're reporting descriptive statistics. We don't need this actually. Well, we can leave the coefficients just in case. And we don't need this one. And assumption test, scatter plot. We can do some built-in scatter plots here, or we can go and make some scatter plots against the variables that we use in the graphs and creating graphs. But here, if we decide to use plots, we need to continue, then we create plots. Then we need to use in the x-axis, we're going to use dependent variable, and y-axis we can use basically zResID. Why is this zResID? I'll tell you in 1 second. Because that's zResID regression standardized residual. Standardized residual is giving us the relationship between the difference between the regression line and values from the original values from the sample. So it makes some sense for us to do this plot here. And what else do we need to do here? Report that we have this descriptives, we have plot as test of statistical significance. Significance comes in place anyway. We click here, and then we look at the data. And then we have here correlations, and some of them are very statistically significant. And because you have overall satisfaction in June and delivery liability have strong linear correlation, but it's not statistically significant. So we don't have much of the data here. And the coefficients here, we have a standardized coefficient of beta with delivery liability and overall satisfaction in June has positive linear correlation and statistically significant. What I need you to do, I need you to go to chapter 15 and go to output of that simple regression part, and it explains what are the meaning of these tables here. And here's the dot plot that we asked to do it, overall satisfaction in June, and we have regression standardized residual. It shows you there is some sort of a regression established here, pretty well defined, as the line is right here. Okay, so that's going to be the basics on question 2. In question 3, does delivery liability and product satisfaction impact overall satisfaction in June? This is a bit more complicated request because they're asking us to do stepwise multiple regression using delivery liability and product satisfaction as the independent variables and overall satisfaction in June as the dependent variables. And that's confusing multiple regression because there is multiple options to do multiple linear regression, but here we just need to use the same thing, just use it differently. Analyze, and then we need to go to regression, and we go to regression, and we go to linear. And here we're going to go, let's reset this, and then we need to go stepwise multiple regression using delivery liability and product satisfaction as independent variables. We can list more independent variables. That's why it's called multiple regression. So we say delivery liability and product satisfaction have as independent variables. And overall satisfaction as dependent variable. Overall satisfaction in June as dependent variable. Now, where do we put the stepwise, multiple stepwise? We need to go to methods and click stepwise, and it's going to do it. If with plots, we can do the same thing. Use this as we can use either x or y. We can put dependent as y and zRESD as an x. We can click continue, and we say statistics. We use descriptives and continue, and when we hit OK, it is going to give us regression analysis of delivery reliability and product satisfaction as independent variables and overall satisfaction in June as dependent variable. Basically, what the regression gives us the form of the correlation. It doesn't give us the strength, it just gives us the form of straight line, actually determining the equation of the straight line, regression straight line that we need to use for prediction possibly. And we have correlations here first. Some of them are significant, some of them are not. And we have at the bottom, we have a dot plot of regression standardized digital overall satisfaction in June. And again, for this, the last two assignments, there are two steps in dog sharing. And let me show you in the dog sharing here. What am I talking about? I'm going to close this. I don't need this anymore. If I go to dog sharing, here dog sharing, and I go to the tutorials, there they are, and I have part 1 and part 2, multiple regression tutorial part 1 and multiple regression part 2. When you download, you're going to be running this, and you can see and pause and redo these things to be able to see how is it done. And the interpretation of results is the most valuable part of this.
Hello and welcome back. This is Dr. Diane, your tutorial for Module 6, and we're moving into multiple regression. In this problem, you will notice that we have one dependent variable and two independent variables.
Okay, so this is pretty much the brief content of today's, tomorrow night's live session. And if you need me, call me or send me an email. Thank you. Good night.